Hi, I'm Todd Heitkamp, the owner of Dakota Angler here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, with this week's 2-minute fishing report. Well, folks, you can definitely say that the dog days of summer have started because the fish and the bite has definitely tapered off a little bit in most areas. Some areas continue to be hot, and those are the lakes that have really produced some really nice fish this past week. Up in the northeastern part of the state that continue to produce some nice walleyes included Bitter, Lynn, Wabae, Dry Lake by Clark, Indian Springs, Goose, a few at Pelican, as well as Round, Bullhead, and also Clear. And then down the southeastern part of the state, the lakes that produced a few walleyes depending on the day. The best bite, honestly, has been probably Ponset or also Dry Lake by Willow Lake. Other lakes included Thompson, Albert, Sinai, 81 Ponds, and by the way, on 81 Ponds, you got to come in from the west, not from the east, because that road is obviously closed due to high water. And then also Brant, Island, Vermilion, and then Twin. And remember, Twin is the trophy lake. And the Missouri River, honestly, is doing really well, especially north up by Mobridge. The bite up there has been really hot, to say the least, and I'm not talking about the weather. How have guys been going about catching the walleyes lately? Again, it continues to be a lot of guys pulling crankbaits, whether or not it's the flicker shads or the rapalas or hornets. Guys are doing really well pulling plugs. And then also guys are pulling spinners with crawlers right along the weed edge in most of the areas and also in shallow water, so keep that in mind. And then as far as the panfish bite is concerned, the crappie, guys are catching crappie at Thompson, Ponset, Vermilion, and Pickerel. And then a few perch are being caught at Ponset, Thompson, Sinai, Big Stone, as well as Dry Lake by Willow Lake. And what have guys been doing to catch those panfish? Well, a lot of small jigs being used, and then as far as bait is concerned, small minnows, waxworms, and then also maggots, which we have plenty of on hand here at the store. In this week's version of Todd's Tackle Tips, we're going to continue our topic about crankbaits. We talked last week about tuning them. Now we're going to talk about which ones are the correct ones to use. And honestly, it's really up to you folks. There's a number of different crankbaits on the market made by, Rapala, Berkeley, also Selmo, and then also there's a number of like B-shads made by Bandit. That's an up and coming crankbait that a lot of people are using. So it really depends on you and also the body of water that you're fishing, whether or not you're talking about a lake or a river. What I always tell people is try to use a crankbait that kind of matches the hatch or matches the bait fish that are in that body of water. Also, a lot of people get stuck in a certain crankbait to use all the time. Well, I've used, let's say flicker shads or the shad wraps for the past week or two, and they produce fish. Well, maybe you want to start with that, but if they don't produce fish, maybe you want to mix it up. And especially now, with the lakes turning green, with the lakes blooming now, a lot of people will have better luck with using, let's say, a jointed presentation, a jointed shad wrap, or a jointed flicker shad. That works really well when the lakes are green around the area. A little bit more vibration produced by that plug. So really what it comes down to is whatever you have the most confidence in, obviously you're going to use that, but also don't die on the sword, so to speak. Don't fall on it. Change that presentation up. If it's not working, go to something else. And also, don't be afraid to try stick baits this time of year. They are very effective in certain bodies of water, and right now, the past couple of weeks, stick baits have been outperforming some of the shad baits that a lot of people have been using. So again, don't be afraid to mix it up, and don't be afraid to experiment. Now it's time to take a look at a few photos that you sent in to me this past week. And remember folks, if you'd like your photo included in next week's version of the 2-Minute Fishing Report, please send it to me. Send it to todd@dakotaangler.com or post it to our Facebook wall. And if I use your photo, your name will be entered into a monthly drawing for a $25 gift certificate. And finally folks, as I mentioned last week, leech season is coming to a close. We still have leeches, but I think only for one more week, so keep that in mind. If you're wanting to buy some leeches for an upcoming trip, you might want to do that this week. Give us a call at 605-336-9132 to reserve yours today. And that also goes for crawlers. Crawlers, we're still going to have plenty for quite a while. But again, if you have any big trip coming up, give us a call to reserve your half flat or full flat for your upcoming trip. Well, folks, that's this week's version of the 2-Minute Fishing Report. For Dakota Angler, I'm the owner, Todd Heitkamp, and as we say around here, fish on! We'll see you next time, and again, thanks for watching. I greatly appreciate it.